Just lower it. Just turn it off.
You want it off?
Yeah, just turn it off. It's doing that. Actually. What is up, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome into the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. I am one half of your host, your virtual bartender, Mr. Nick Teodoro. Joining me, as always, is my tag team partner in life, my wife, Miss Nicole. Miss Nicole, what are you drinking?
Oh, you know, my usual Tito's orange juice and cran. Mr. Nick, tell me what you're drinking, and I need you to tell me three things.
I am drinking my usual red wine, Seven Oaks, this evening. Rhea Ripley is out indefinitely. Chad Gable turned heel, and Tama Tonga has debuted. So let's get into it. Nicole, we kick it off with Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley comes out, and she announces that she is out for the next few months.
She was told that she needs to vacate her belt because she's going to be out for a few months. And the crowd start chanting bullshit, and I could not agree more. And then they started chanting, "Thank you, mommy," which, thank you, mommy. And then she puts her belt down in the center of the ring, and she does her little touch that she does to things. And then she's saying that, you know, she's going to come back and be bigger and stronger, and then Liv has to watch out because if she goes back there and finds Liv, then she's going to be in a Montreal jail. And then, of course, Liv's music hits. Then there's a bunch of security people that come down, and Rhea's trying to get to Liv, and Liv is just, like, laughing at her, and then Rhea winds up headbutting a security guard, but basically they pull them apart. Scrap Daddy Adam Pearce is in the ring. And then at first I was like, oh, they're like, Rhea's going to vacate. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen. And then she's walking to the ring and you see Adam Pearce in the corner. And I'm like, oh no, like she's legit going to relinquish this belt. And it just broke my heart. She's so great in a promo, you know, like she kind of broke a couple times. Like, you know, she's pissed and upset and sad, and so am I. I don't like it. I'm upset that she got injured, like legit injured. Hopefully, the rumor going around is it's supposed to be 3 months. She should be back for SummerSlam, but remains to be seen.
So, as it's been documented that she got the injury on the backstage fight last week on Raw.
Yeah. Not from the chair shot, when she got thrown into the wall by Liv and her kind of putting up her arms to kind of protect her for like, oh, look, I'm off the wall. That's where she hurt her kind of shoulder AC area.
Right. So there's been a lot of kind of negative feedback on like Liv Morgan being the one to hurt her and everything that happened. There was actually a fan that went viral tweeting at Liv Morgan about how he hoped that she'd tear ACL, which is awful. It's an unfortunate circumstance. You know, I think we have to keep things in perspective in the sense of, you know, ultimately, you know, these are athletes and, you know, athletes get injured and things happen. Even just like you could twist your ankle and you break your ankle doing the dumbest of things, like jumping into the stands.
It's like a very much freak accident. Apparently there's no like heat on Liv at all. People are online were immediately like, oh, it's because she threw the chair, but it wasn't the chair, it's the wall. Her bracing herself against the wall is what did it. I'm sad she has to relinquish, but I think they're going to put that belt on Liv. She's going to come back. Rhea's going to come back as an even bigger face and get her belt back. Maybe SummerSlam, maybe, I don't know off the top of my head what the pay-per-view is after SummerSlam. I feel like it has to be like a big one. I wouldn't want it to be like
after SummerSlam. I feel like it was like always like a fast lane type.
I don't know. Like, I don't like. She needs to win it back at SummerSlam. Like, I wouldn't want it to be like a whole Mania thing again. Like, she needs to come back, kind of like a Becky Lynch thing. Maybe not as in 30 seconds or 6 seconds, wherever she beat Bianca, but I feel like it needs to be like SummerSlam quick, not this whole drawn out program that she's chasing Liv per se.
So So it begs the question, right? You brought it up. When will she return? And to me, I think it could be even as soon as Money in the Bank for a short one-off stint of her winning the Money in the Bank and holding it for the next title, challenger. Because remember, Brock Lesnar did that at one point in time. So,
which I hated.
I know, but you wouldn't hate it with Rhea. You wouldn't hate it with Rhea. No. So, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. How long will she be out? Supposedly it's an AC joint injury, which we see a lot in the NFL. I see, I don't know, maybe just because fantasy football, I see a lot with maybe my fantasy football teams, but more often than not, but it seems like a quarterback type thing. But it's another shoulder injury, which similarly, we were just looking this up. Liv Morgan's injury was a shoulder injury that she had to come back from on her now revenge tour. So I guess the irony in all that. But I still think, like, does she come back sooner, or maybe it's as they hold her off until a Royal Rumble return, and she's going to come back with, a tremendous amount of momentum. And I guess that was a question that a lot of people, were saying right in the initial stages of the injury. What's going to happen with Rhea? She's so hot right now. In the business, she's like white hot. She's probably she's the biggest female star right now in the business. I think she's bigger than Becky right now. And
she beat Becky.
Yeah, bigger than Becky. but like in terms of just like stardom draw, like right now, I think at least for a match. So she was just ascending and continuously ascending. Where was she going next? Which I don't think we really had. I mean, we thought Liv was going to be the challenger anyway, but any clarity on like a next big challenger for her who they're building up. So it's going to be good to see. I think that in terms of her momentum, I don't think she'll lose any momentum. I think she's going to come back bigger than ever. I really do. I don't know. I just think that, like, look at Becky Lynch, look at what she did. She went out with the pregnancy and she came back at WrestleMania just huge, ecstatic, right?
With the pregnancy, she gave birth to a baby.
No, but like, I'm just saying,
human for 10 months.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, she was out, gone, off TV.
Yeah, and then came back.
Yeah,
I think what people have said online, and maybe I agree with, if it's only 3 months. Again, barring they said she might need surgery, and as someone who also I got collarbone surgery, like it hurts till this day. And hearing about how like people break their collarbone, they're back in like 6 weeks. I'm like, how do you do that? But again, I love Seth Rollins. He was injured, didn't have to relinquish his belt. He was getting to Mania. You didn't see Roman Reigns at all. He didn't have to defend his belt within the 30-day parameters. Why couldn't you just keep her backstage, do her Judgment Day promos, do her little things with Dirty Dom? Like, she's a person you can't touch. She can come out. Again, with like Damian Priest did an interview, he's like, oh, well, I can't cash in on Seth right now because he's injured. So then it's like, why can't Rhea just come out and do live promos? Like, why does she have to give up the belt when she had this incredible Mania to Mania run? I don't it doesn't sit necessarily well with me. I guess in the field, like when she comes back, it's gonna be fucking huge. You're gonna be like, ah! But I'm just like, you kind of set a precedent with the male superstars, your male champions.
So you're implying that there's a double standard.
Oh, am I double standards for men and women? What?
But it's interesting because when you look at it and you think about it, like, yeah, like Triple H has been the biggest proponent of women's wrestling in the last, and he, having the main event WrestleMania and everything else. That's why it's so shocking.
I guess I'm sorry. Go.
No, I think that's why it's so shocking that, like, yeah, to your point, like, why isn't she allowed to be a part-time champ? But I guess, I don't know, Roman was never injured though. So you could make the argument that, like, he could have always showed up whenever they told him, like, you need to defend the belt every 45 days.
That was never a thing. That was never brought up once in his entire 3.5-year reign. That is like, oh, that 30-day mark's coming up. Where are you, champy? Like, that never came up. And, like, I don't know if maybe because I'm just, like, looking at it like this and, Triple H is so big picture that he's come back from injury and came back as like a huge baby face. We also have Madison Square Garden, like we were going nuts. Or like when Cena left and like maybe he just sees like, oh, you're injured, let's keep you off TV for 3 months and you come back and to be fucking huge. And I'm hoping that's the SummerSlam moment or the Raw before SummerSlam, that's like the big moment. But like right now, like it makes me angry.
That's fair.
But I'm hoping like big picture, like I'm mad today. Hopefully at SummerSlam when we do our recap here, I'll be like, that was fucking awesome. What is Ed saying some stuff?
Oh, yes. Ed is. So Ed said, the only thing I could think of is they want that huge return pop, which, yeah.
Right.
You're going to get it. You're absolutely going to get it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Monday night, I was angry. And then maybe once we see it at SummerSlam, I'm like, okay, cool. But, like, right now, I don't love it. I just feel bad. It's because she worked so hard and she has
Steven, it's better that she went away because the pop that she gets when she returns will be an all-timer.
Right.
I agree.
I just feel because she had the panic attack the day of WrestleMania, and I just feel like I just want to root for her. And she had their band open, and she was like her at the press conference was just so sweet, and I was just so happy for her. And for her, like literally, then 2 days later, it's like, girl, bye. And like I know, and it's gonna be a huge pop, and I don't know. Right now, just like, ugh.
Well, when we're talking about huge pops, that brings us into our next topic. So, topic number 2 for this week. On Monday Night Raw, stemming out of Montreal. Sorry, that's the wrong graphic. We saw our hometown hero, Sami Zayn, come out and deliver on his promise with Chad Gable, like a true face, like a true baby face. He delivered on his promise with Chad Gable, offering him a title shot. They had an absolute phenomenal match, and definitely match of the week. There's nothing any of the promotions could do to challenge that. And it was an old school, really like banger of a match back and forth. And you have two of the best, wrestlers going for WWE, especially today, and absolutely just phenomenal. So in the end, ultimately, Chad Gable once again comes up short, leading to Sami Zayn having another great hometown moment celebration.
It has the great, obviously, backtracking 30 seconds. I'll try to keep it brief. But before this, Jay Uso won his match, went up through the crowd, such a beautiful tracking shot, high-fiving everybody, let's go. He did push this one pin that was in his way, which I thought was hysterical, but went outside and found Sammy, and Sammy's just like looking straight up, and he's like, what are you doing, Uso? And he's just like, oh, this is the place, this is the reason why I love wrestling, like, blah, blah, blah. So he's like, go get him. And then he goes the same like reverse shot that Jay did, goes back through the same corridor, high five, everyone's freaking out. And then the picture that Nick has, he comes out, huge fucking just like pop and scream. It's like, this is our hometown boy. This is it. And it was just like, it felt so big. And then he comes down, has this incredible match with Gable. Of course, he wins. Then he helps Gable get up. And he's like, no, you. And then Gable's like, no, you. And then Sammy goes out and, his wife Khadijah's in the crowd because, like, obviously hometown. I don't know if it's his dad or her dad, but some old man he kisses, like, they hug and he kisses his arm. And then he goes to Khadijah and goes to hug her. And then, whoop, Gable comes out to do a German, and it's this beautiful shot that he's reaching out to his wife, Khadijah. Khadijah's reaching out for him, and they're just like, and just fucking German. It was so filmed so incredibly. And then he gets him into the ring and gets him into the ankle lock around the post, and he's screaming like, you took this away from me, and it's in front of Sammy's wife, and it was just like such a beautiful heel turn in Montreal. I could not was screaming watching.
Another Montreal screw job.
I just think it was so well executed. It's something we wanted so much, and Sammy sold it beautifully. I'm just chef kisses all fucking around.
Can I say how much I loved this heel turn, just because I could not stand him dealing with his wife. Like, even at WrestleMania, like, oh my God, please do it. Like, I don't care. I didn't want you to beat Gunther, so now I want you to get your ass beat. So when this happened, it just made my day. So him getting pulled away, and obviously, he does a great German suplex, just like his unbiological father, Kurt Angle, and
so good.
Puts him in the ankle lock. And just a great scene, right in front of his family, him reaching out for his kids.
It was Rami wasn't there. It was just Khadijah, and he's like reaching for his wife, and Chad screaming, which is such a great foil because over the summer when Gunther beat him was in front of his family, and his daughters are crying. His daughter is just like hysterical. I don't mean to call it great, but like cinematic. So for him to it finally kind of break his brain a little bit that he couldn't win the gauntlet match, he couldn't beat Sammy, and then now he'll feel like I want to see this heel turn. I want to see him Kurt Angle perks all the way. I want to see him bad fucking ass.
Yeah, we want to hear from all you. What do you all think? Ed wrote in the chat. Let us know in the chats below if you're new and just joining here. Hit the old like button and subscribe. But yeah, Ed said it was so good.
So I can't even I can't remember I'm sure maybe this is a topic for a different day, but a heel turn this good in a while? This would just felt so good. Babyface hometown in front of his wife, you want to boo this man. But I'm not gonna boo him because I think he needed this, but it's just it just makes so much sense.
So it begs the question that we're going to throw out there now is with Gunther right now, I'm not saying right now, Gunther's gone. Roman Reigns is gone. The Rock is off filming in Hollywood. Who is, if not, who is Chad Gable the top heel in WWE right now? That's what the question I'm going to throw out to everybody out there right now. With the heat that he just got in Montreal and knowing how big he was and how over he was.
Sorry, Ed wrote Perk Gable.
Yes. I knew.
That's what I said. I was like, that's what he needs to be.
Touche.
But no, honestly, Sammy, again, your main event in Montreal, Sammy could not be any more flippin' babyface. And for Chad to tap him out in front of his wife, it's there's nothing more heel than that at this point. So at least Raw right now, I think he probably tops. Because I feel whatever's good, Drew?
Priest?
I feel I don't even know.
I don't think Priest even has heat. I think Priest has more babyface.
Yeah, I think
momentum
honestly running through it real quick in my brain, I think,
Right? I can't think. Did anyone? Let us know in the comments below who's hotter. Good point, Steven. Steven said it's Drew. Yeah.
I don't know, but to me, he's such a tweener, and it's tell me when I'm lying. Drew's just been so spot on, and maybe when we do get into more Punk Drew stuff, but everything that I think it's different between maybe Gable being a dastardly heel and then Drew being that funny, smarmy heel. Maybe that's two different categories.
Yeah. Well, no, he's more of a
malicious, vicious
anti-hero-ish. Is anti-hero the word? Maybe the anti-hero is not the word.
I mean, we were loving it, and I was he won the belt, and then he sauntered seductively over to Punk, and that's how you lost your belt.
Which is still one of the
again, Steven also wrote Dom, and I feel that's also maybe more cheap heat than I'm going to hurt you in front of your family. Dom's a heel, and because people but do I expect him to beat me up? No. Is Chad gonna make you cry in front of your mom? Probably. I don't know, maybe it's such a different heel variation, but I guess Dom and Drew definitely up there. So, but I think Chad Gable's not far away. So
as we're talking about the same heel turn for Chad Gable that I think we saw and kind of called for a little while, and I have discussed this theory on the show, is that I think putting Chad Gable in a heel faction, which he's already in a faction, with the Creed brothers would be absolute money and phenomenal. I totally see that happening. Let them continue to lose for a little bit. Well, I mean, they've been losing. He's a veteran, and they just all snap together and working together. I would love to see them almost like again, another team angle of the past. It would be perfect. It gives him just another leg up, because with the heat he's got right now as a heel, who's to say he doesn't just compete for a mid-card title? He could ascend upward to the main event scene. There's people that, with factions and with the right amount of momentum can be main eventers. Look at the momentum. Like Sami Zayn, 3 years ago, you wouldn't have considered him a main event talent, and he's a borderline. He main evented on Raw. Yes, I know, but like in Montreal, in his hometown.
He main evented one of WrestleMania last year.
Yeah, the tag match. Okay, but yes. So again, she always tries to throw me off. But anyway. But to my point, who would have saw him as a main event talent 3, 4, 5 years ago? He was always a solid, as they say, a hell of a hand, and look at where he's been and gone. So I just think in the right storyline, the right circumstances, surrounded by the right people, like the Bloodline storyline, that made him a main event talent. So I'm really excited to see. We want to hear from all you as some new people join in. Let us know. Join in the conversation.
Our regulars are disagreeing with us.
You can comment. You can also call in. The phone lines will be open at 6:30 in another 8 minutes. So if you want, the call-in link is in the chat, but it's in the description as well if you want to get in there. Let's read off some comments and see what everyone's thinking.
Everyone thinks it's Dom Drew, and I agree with that. He's like, he literally played and prayed for.
Put
it up. I agreed, but beating up a babyface in his hometown in front of his wife, then being mean to CM Punk, different levels to me.
And soon Liv will be right. Is that? I think Steve, I don't know if you're getting at like that. Oh, she'll be a main event talent, and
no, because it's the biggest heel thing
that
we're talking about.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Now that she injured Mommy.
Yeah, it's the Nia Jax heat.
I know. Is it heat? I worry a little bit. But I think at this point with like Rhea, we're past the point. Like she beat Nia, she beat Becky. Like it's not the size of the person at this point. I feel like it's just story. Like her and Liv, even now with her getting injured, even more of them having the story. It's the story. It's the background, not necessarily the physicality of it. Again, I think Liv has improved leaps and bounds when we first kind of saw her with the Riot Squad and she had her little blue tongue and did her thing. So I'm hoping I don't know if that's gonna make her like I would consider her the biggest heel, but I guess maybe woman wise, I don't know. Like we haven't seen. I don't know. Again, it makes me excited we'll talk about that next week for the draft. Like how are they going to change stuff up?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And next week's show is going to be real fun. We're going to do our own little fantasy draft probably of a faction. I think that's how we're going to do it. But so that'll be fun. So we're going to ask everyone to join in on that one as well.
I also, last podcast, I said they're never going to take Cody off Raw. Wrong. Cody's going to SmackDown. So my predictions, who knows? But tell me what you think down below. Tell Nick he's wrong.
All right. So let's get into our third topic. You asked me to tell you 3 things. Here's our third thing for this week. So, and it happened right as we went off
literally
the air.
Mm-hmm.
There is a new member of the Bloodline. Tonga has come over from New Japan and now joined Solo Sikoa in the Bloodline. So, if you can think back to last Friday,
so do you want me to? I'll set a scene, my kids, quickly. So originally it pans to Jimmy, Solo, and Paul Heyman backstage, and they're going to like where their locker room would be, and now it says Cody Rhodes on there, not Bloodline. So he's like, oh, like if when you lose your privileges, but the tribal chief will get this back for us. And then they go to their promo in the middle of the ring, and Heyman does the promo saying that, like, we don't blame anybody, The Rock or Seth or whatever. Like, the tribal chief lost, and that's okay. We're going to move on. And then Solo was kind of like, oh, I thought losses matter. And then it was a masked man appears, and turns out it's Tama Tonga. I screamed. I'm excited about this. He came in and they laid out Jimmy, and then like Solo was barking orders, told Tama to get a chair. That he did the Samoan spike, hit him with the chair. Jimmy's out. He grabs Heyman to make him put up the ones. So they all put up, the three of them, like Solo, Tama, Heyman put up the ones. Then he grabs his phone, call Roman Reigns. And he grabbed, like Nick put up, I guess I'm getting ahead of your slide, sorry.
A little bit. We're good, I need a drink.
He goes to call Roman Reigns. Solo grabs the phone, throws it down like, nah, not calling Roman Reigns. So is this, people are saying it's going to be Civil War in the Bloodline, who's this and that. I personally love this segment. I think it's good to insert kind of someone fresh. I think Corey and Wade put over, because I know who Tama Tonga is, like, and from New Japan. I don't know many people who, obviously WWE fans may not know New Japan stuff, but I think Jackson, Corey, and Wade put him over, and I think Solo kind of barking orders like, you're doing this, I'm hitting with the spike, Heyman, you're here. I think that's very interessante. Yeah, I'm here for it.
So you beg the question over who is the actual leader of the Bloodline. So I will throw that out there because, again, who is the new tribal chief? Because in our house, it's not Jackson, who's right next to me right now causing issues. It's definitely not. But the orders are from the tribal chief. You think it's Solo.
That's not.
Well, you're implying. I don't know. I feel like you're implying that's Solo.
I think. Do you want me to go or do you want to go?
I will say my theory that I still think in this case that the tribal chief is the new tribal chief. Which is not really new, but the never appointed tribal chief, the final boss, The Rock. I think 150% The Rock is the final boss, the news tribal chief. I don't know what you're thinking on this.
So I think a lot of people are comparing it to like NWO and Wolfpack. That obviously we're splitting up, and it's going to be like your side, my side, and whose side's going to do what. I think Solo is acting on behalf of The Rock. Like I said, like tribal chief, like Solo's not the tribal chief, but he's going to be the one barking orders when Rock's away. And I think him grabbing Heyman's phone, like him pulling him out, like you're putting up the one, grabbing his phone and making him walk up the ramp with them. It's like, this is what you're like, like, look at me. I'm like, maybe like Rock's a tribal chief. But, like, Solo's the captain now. Like, look at me. I'm the cap. Like, he's going to be doling out.
He's the capo, the lieutenant.
El Capitan. Like, I think he's going to be.
He even thinks that there's a bloodline civil war.
It's going to be Roman Usos versus, I think, Solo, Rock, and Tama. But,
yeah. Usually War Games, though, so you think it's going to be a 3-on-3 War Games situation.
Like, there's plenty of Samoans they can grab. To make it a 4-on-4. I think a 3-on-3 would be a little, but I'm sure there's Jacob running around. You can get Tungaloa, Hikaleo.
Well, if they sign them all, yeah. I mean,
there's more, I'm sure, running around.
I mean, who do you all think is going to be? First off, who is in the Bloodline? I'll throw it out to our comment section to all our new joiners here. If you're new here, again, hit the subscribe button, hit the old like. Simone Spike as we're talking about the Bloodline. So we want to hear from you all on that topic. I don't know. Hikaleo could be someone. I don't like him that much. I know they're currently
signing for New Japan, but again, like, I feel like there's like they had that whole sheet of Bloodline people. My shadow keeps coming on that wall. It's weird. But there's so many. Again, maybe you do keep it 3-on-3, or maybe do you add like a Naomi and a Nia Jax to like add a woman to it? I don't know.
That would be kind of cool.
You know, I think with Naomi.
Or is Tamina's part of the bloodline too, right?
I thought she retired though.
Oh, did she retire?
I know. Let me in the comment section down below. But I thought she like stopped. I know, but
she could come back for a one-off too.
Nia is very close to The Rock. Obviously, Naomi and Jimmy are married in real life. They're both on that org chart.
So
of the bloodline.
You never know. So speaking of you never know, we're here every Friday, 6 p.m. You never know who's going to show up.
And it can happen at happy hour.
Yeah. So feel free to call in below. The link is in the description. Again, by way of our friends, AJ Caprio, Integrated Pain Management, we would like to introduce former WCW Tag Team Champion, former WCW Hardcore Champion, former WCW Cruiserweight Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, Crowbar.
Hello, everyone. Nothing. How's everybody doing?
We're doing great.
Fantastic.
We usually ask, what are you drinking? What are you thinking? So.
Well, right now, first of all, I apologize for being so unkempt and unshaved. It's been a crazy work week. One of the most challenging parts of being a pro wrestler in this day and age is that all these years later, I'm a dad, I'm a physical therapist, I'm a business owner, and this week was just nuts. So what I'm drinking right now is a cup of black coffee because I have about 8 notes left that I have to write up once I finish with this. So that's what I'm thinking, and that's what I'm drinking.
Fair enough. Cheers to that. And that's the beauty of the show is you don't have to drink alcohol. You whatever you want to drink, just bring. And we're just talking about
when I get home, I will be drinking alcohol. I promise. That's definitely, but that's later.
Well, I know you're a man who enjoys his red wine as well from your program.
Yes, I do. Yes.
You kind of touched on it, so we wanted to ask you. What have you been up to lately? You touched upon obviously the physical therapy thing, and take us through what you've been doing.
Well, how far back do you guys want to go? So WCW ends, and I toy around with TNA. I was there for a very brief cup of coffee. There was a company out at that time called the WWWA that did a few pay-per-views, and it featured a lot of former WWE and WCW guys and stuff like that. And then at that point in time, I was knocking on WWE's door. I had several dark matches that went pretty well. I'm actually pretty psyched. A guy on Twitter actually gained access to the dark match archive, and I got to see a few of those that I had been wanting to see. So 20 years later, I got to see me and John Cena in Philadelphia. 20 years later, I got to see me and Rick Fuller at the Hartford Civic Center. 20 years later, I got to see me versus Mike Bell with Daphne in my corner in Philadelphia. So that was kind of cool. But nothing happened there. No job, no nothing. So there comes when a young guy asks me, what is the best advice I could give him? And I say, always make sure you have a second career. I get pissed off when I see, not pissed off, but there's so many things on YouTube, and there's a motivational speech by Arnold Schwarzenegger, or a motivational speech set to music by The Rock, or a motivational speech set to music by this famous actor. And a lot of the themes of those is you need to focus every bit of your energy into one thing. Otherwise, you're admitting that you're going to fail. And the only way you're going to succeed is if you put all your energies on this one goal. And that's easy for them to say because they made it and they're rolling in all kinds of money. But for every Rock, every Arnold, every other whatever singer, band, whatever, there's thousands and thousands of people that don't make it, or I'll come back to this. So you need to have a plan B. Very, very often I'll ask a new guy. I was in World Championship Wrestling at that time, one of the 2 largest companies on the planet for 3 years. As you said, Cruiserweight champion, Tag Team champion, Hardcore champion. And I'll say, do you consider that successful? Would you have liked to is that something that you would like to do? If you did that, would you be happy? And every single time they say, yeah, that'd be awesome. I would love to do that. I say, now, I wasn't at the top of the card. I wasn't in the bottom of the card. I was in that meaty middle there somewhere. But in no way, shape, or form did I make enough money to sustain me the rest of my life as an individual, forget a family. So very, very few people have those long extended runs where they make a whole bunch of cash, and you need something else to fall back upon. So after I was not picked up by WWE, it was great. At that time, even during, I'm all over the place. I have bad ADD. I'm so sorry. So during WCW, during WCW, when I was home from the road, I still worked in physical therapy. I kept a hand in it. So WCW ends in TNA for a little cup of coffee, WWA, WWE, or F, whatever it was at that time, dark matches, nothing happens. So I transitioned my life from full-time wrestler, part-time physical therapist to full-time physical therapist, part-time wrestler. And I got more and more involved in the management aspect of physical therapy. I got married. I started a family. I had kids. So for many, many years, I pulled back a lot from pro wrestling, and I would wrestle sometimes once a month, sometimes once every 3, 4, 5 months or more. And my life shifted from pro wrestling, although I continued to watch it, I continued to enjoy it. I still say it to this day, on this planet, there's nobody that friggin' loves pro wrestling more than me. But I took many, many steps backwards until about, I think it was 2019, myself, my wife, this guy that plays my bodyguard, Adam Kerr, who was a patient of mine, believe it or not. He started out as a patient of mine, and I turned him into a pro wrestler. Big dude. We debuted for Ring of Honor at Final Battle. We did Free Enterprise, the first pay-per-view of 2020, and then COVID hit. So being a physical therapist and living in New Jersey, although there were shows going on here and there, scarcely. If in New Jersey, if you went somewhere, especially out of state, and you were in front of a crowd, you had to quarantine for 2 weeks. It would have destroyed my business. So I had to stop wrestling completely. And that went on until about April of 2021. And during that time, I needed to feed my wrestling itch in some way, and I came up with these crazy promos I started doing, and it took off a little bit, and they were fun.
Yeah, I mean, talking about that, I guess that you transition into the physical therapy field, right? And there's probably some, and I got to give credit to one of our listeners here, Stephen, who mentioned this. There's probably some injuries. Is there injuries that you see that kind of translate over? You know, we opened the show tonight with Rhea Ripley, got injured last week to her AC joint. And is there some common injuries that you see? And is there things that are kind of avoidable that are consistent in the wrestling industry right now?
I think today's wrestlers, this generation of wrestlers, is by far the most athletically gifted crop of wrestlers we've ever had. The moves they do, the corkscrews, the flips, they're so athletically gifted. It's on a whole nother level that was never seen before. And that's awesome. This generation of wrestlers also make a lot of bad choices, moves-wise. They possess this incredible athletic ability. And with that ability, they could probably do a million and one safe things that would look really, really cool, that the crowd would really, really like. And unfortunately, they still continue to choose a lot of stuff that hurt them and hurt their opponents. It is pro wrestling. Injuries will always happen, even on the stupidest, simplest things. It could happen. But I think you increase the likelihood of injuries when you make bad choices.
No, for sure. And, kind of backtracking to obviously when you had the change, a lot happened, in your life in that following 2 years following WCW, right, in 2001. You got married. You met some people, and talk about. I know Nikki and I are both. I know we're both a wrestling couple. We met through pro wrestling, and we both have a love for it. So
it's awesome.
I was saying, like, wrestling couples are my favorite, and like watching some of your stuff today, and like, how you and Dina are, like, how is it like working with her, kind of like inside the ring, outside the ring, like you guys coming out together? I think is so, like, her and the mask and the fan. I think it's like, whoa, like she has a fan because you guys are like making out all the time.
Little pageantry again, you know what I mean? It's I'm a big sucker. I love in-ring work, but I grew up watching wrestling in the 80s and the early 90s. I am a sucker for characters, for pageantry, and I think that's missing a lot in pro wrestling. I love stuff like that. When people ask me who combined character and work rate the best, I mean, one of my favorite wrestler of all time is Randy Savage, but he was not the best in my opinion. But he did combine pageantry, and he was a phenomenal worker. Go to like mid 90s, Lord Steven Regal. Okay, he had this royal music. He wore capes. Sometimes he wore that ruffle thing that hung down. Once in a while, he wore a white wig. He had either Sir William, his attendant, or Jeeves. He had all this stuff going on. He had the faces he made. He was disgusted with the people. But when he got in that ring and the cape came off and the thing came off and the wig came off, you saw some phenomenal work rate, whoever he was wrestling with. So I try, and I'm not putting myself in the same class as Steve Regal. I know I'm not, and I'm a totally different kind of wrestler, but I really always thought that was a great way to go, where you have this ultimate wrestling pageantry and character stuff that it's very popular today. Say it makes wrestling really fun. But when all that's gone, I really try to show the people a violent, cool, fun match.
Is there anything that you maybe
sorry,
like this spot, like not do that sequence? Is she very like kind of like protective of you, like maybe don't do that, or she's like, baby, go? Now
we met, and she actually wrestled for a while. She was an independent wrestler, and I just left WCW, and I had gone down to Jim Kettner's ECWA in Delaware just to visit with some people, and she happened to be there, and the rest is history. We first met there, and then we met a few weeks later somewhere else, and then one thing led to the other, and in August we will be married 20 years, and we will be together 23 years.
Cheers
to that.
And the cool thing is we have so much. We love watching wrestling together. Like, I got home late last night. She had a long day at work. She's also a registered dietitian. We both had long days at work, a lot of paperwork and stuff. We got in the hot tub. There's the TV there. Like, oh, what do you want to do? She goes, oh no, let's watch wrestling. So it was either, and here's the opposite. I go, what do you want to do? And it's either listen to music on YouTube, watch Star Wars stuff, or Star Wars reviews on YouTube. Like right now, the Bad Batch is running, and we love Star Wars. Or we watch wrestling, and we ended up watching Saturday night's main event, the episode where they turned Macho Babyface against the Honky Tonk Man, and Hulk Hogan fought Sika. And it was just awesome. We're hanging out there, defunking a long day at work. We had some seltzers. The water was hot. We're hanging out there and just watching wrestling. And it was awesome.
Beautiful. I love that so much.
So I got to ask, as a Star Wars fan, which is your favorite?
Oh,
okay. For years, I said Empire Strikes Back, and that's a common response. That's what most people say. And then I really thought about it I did an interview a few months ago, maybe half a year ago or so, and I changed it. And I said, Return of the Jedi. And here's why. Movies aren't like they are now, where they come out 1 year and then shortly thereafter, after there's the next one. Like when the Avengers came out, boom, boom, boom. So we had Empire. and you got Luke in like he got his hand cut off. Darth Vader to his father. Han Solo's frozen in carbonite. And that was all awesome stuff. You had the walkers, you had Yoda and all this. But I thought Jedi, when you think back, and I put myself in my mind as a child, there were so many payoffs. When I grew up, it wasn't the Star Wars special edition. There was no Jabba the Hutt in Episode 4. There was no Jabba the Hutt in that hangar during Star Wars. So you heard about this Jabba the Hutt through Star Wars and Empire. You knew he was a bad dude, but you never saw him. And you get to see him for the first time in Jedi. And I remember as a kid, whoa, this giant space slug is awesome. And one of the most memorable parts of Star Wars for me was the cantina. So you got Jabba's palace, which is very similar to the cantina with all these cool looking freaky aliens. And I love that. You got a rancor down there. You got a monster. And that was really cool. You see the Emperor in the flesh for the first time. The Emperor shooting lightning out of his fingers, which you've never seen before at that time, which was cool. You find out Luke and Leia are brother and sister, which is weird because they kissed in the last movie. Darth Vader turns good and takes off his helmet. Come on. And ultimately, at least you thought, the good guys defeated the bad guys for good. So when I think back and I connect myself to the feelings attached to Return of the Jedi, I have to call that my favorite one, even over Empire Strikes Back.
That's fair.
And that's why.
This is
No, like-
my life right now.
I know. You can tell. You can tell.
talk Star Wars.
I know.
I know it's a wrestling podcast, but I'm like, let's talk Star Wars.
So right back to wrestling.
Okay.
No.
I digress.
I know. I can just leave you two alone
I
the whole
know.
night.
Bye, Nick.
So
I could talk Star Wars all night. We could just make this a whole Star Wars episode and really piss your fans off.
Unbelievable. But yeah, so kind of getting back to it. So going into like we were talking about moves earlier, right? And like safe moves, things like that. So I looked at your finisher, the mind bender. If you're assuming you're still using it today, because the last couple matches I saw you're using a lot of different variations, a lot of hardcore stuff. But I guess what's it say? I mean, to me, you were one of the first people to do that move, 20 plus years ago, and now since then we see a Hall of Famer in Beth Phoenix, and now what's projected to be the next big thing in Jade Cargill, kind of using that move. What does that kind of mean? Knowing that kind of you were brought that to me at least to the limelight. I hadn't seen too many wrestlers using that finisher. So now here you are, 20 plus years later, seeing that. What does that kind of mean to you?
It's cool. I don't know. It's a relatively simple move. It's just but the sit down adds a lot to it. It's cool looking. It looks like you crushed a person, and it's hard to pull back the curtain, but it's super, super safe, and that's what pro wrestling needs to be. You need a safe finisher you can do to take care of yourself and your opponent as well. No,
absolutely. Nikki, you still?
I'm still on the Star Wars.
She's still in the Star Wars. Oh man.
In case you're wondering, I hate the sequel trilogy. Hate it.
Thank you. I don't like them either.
Big, and I've tried. The Force Awakens laid some groundwork. I was interested in Poe. I thought Finn, the stormtrooper that left the Empire, was a cool idea. I liked Rey. I liked Snoke. I thought, who is this Snoke guy? And then at the beginning of The Last Jedi, started the dumpster fire.
It had potential, but it was too many.
It did.
And then it just went too far another way.
They destroyed it.
Like a Death Star.
Yes.
How many Star Wars references? I feel like this is going to be like we're going to make it like one of those like drinking games where every time a Star
I forgot this is a wrestling interview. I'm sorry.
No, we're having fun here. This is a blast. So take me back. Actually, as we were talking about, being safe and making safe moves. I was looking back on just in general, like your hardcore match, Starrcade 2000. You got to wrestle, your icon there, Terry Funk. How do you looking back on that match now? It was. It was so. At points, I was like, "Wow, this is tough to watch," because some of the chair shots you were taking.
Sure. Yep.
You came out looking so phenomenal in that match. Just the beating. That
Thank you.
took. But do you reflect 20 plus years later on it, differently now as, obviously as a father and just, an experienced wrestler?
It's a rough one. There are a lot of wrestlers that have come out and. Years ago, there was that famous lawsuit against WWE about the concussions and all this type of stuff. I was studying to be in healthcare when I first became a pro wrestler. I was going to school to be a physical therapist during ECW, and I was a physical therapist when I got involved in WCW. That being said, you don't need to be a physical therapist and you don't need to be a healthcare worker to know that probably getting whacked in the noggin with a chair shot was bad for you. I'm sorry. I'm just being honest. So years ago, we had all these guys coming forward saying that, they were forced to do that. That's all BS. As a wrestler, first of all, as any intelligent person knows, getting bludgeoned in the head with an object is not good for you. That being said, at that time, it was a fashionable thing to do. It's what the audience liked. It was getting over, and ECW was very popular, and the ECW style was eventually emulated by WCW and WWE, and that was something at the time that was over. Fans liked it. They popped for it. They talked about it. And that was just, I hate that it's a cliche thing to say. It was a sign of the times. So when I look back, if I could change it, would I? I probably would, or at least put my hand up like I do now. But I'm not going to come out and say we didn't know what we were doing. You got to be, that's an idiot thing to say. Any common person knows getting bludgeoned in the head with a hard object is not good for you. But let's go back to the match. So one of my favorite matches growing up was the New York Knockout I Quit match, Ric Flair versus Terry Funk. It really sucked me into more what I would call adult style wrestling. I grew up on the East Coast. We saw mostly WWE on cable. We saw some of the with the Southern wrestling and all that. But I remember watching that Flair versus Funk. I'm like, wow, these guys are awesome. This Terry Funk guy is nuts, and he's awesome. So I became a gigantic fan of Terry Funk and Ric Flair through that match, but Terry Funk especially. And then if you were to tell a teenage Chris Ford that one day on the last Starrcade, which is, for the people that don't know, WCW's version of WrestleMania, that I would wrestle Terry Funk in a title match, I would, no friggin' way. What are you, nuts? Off the radar, an unattainable goal. So just the fact that I got to do that, it was such a huge blessing. I'm so grateful for it. And it was just a great, great time. In hindsight, if I could take back some of those chair shots to the head, I probably would. But at that time, not me or anybody else was thinking of that. It was just something that was done in pro wrestling. It was part of the pro wrestling game. In football, the helmets evolve, the rules evolve. In other sports, gear and protective equipment evolve, and wrestling has evolved, thankfully, away from that. But that's just the way it was. And, again, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse, you don't have to be a healthcare provider. You don't need to be a physical therapist. You don't need to be a neurosurgeon or a general doctor to know that being whacked in the head is not good for you. We just did it. The crowd loved it. We did it in an attempt to get our characters over. We were independent contractors doing something that we thought would help our career. And anybody that says Otherwise, it's full of garbage.
Yeah. No,
How's that?
Yeah. I like that point. Because honestly, now with all the documentaries coming out, you see like Dark Side of the Ring and everything else. It is kind of like a blurred lines type thing. But yeah, to your point, I completely understand where you're coming from. Like, you kind of agree to do things beforehand, right? Like no one's doing it against their will, so to speak.
Because usually the wrestlers, we will call our match. When not told. Never in my career was I told, we want you to take 5 chair shots during this match. We want you to take 10 chair shots. I was never told that. It was something that was discussed between me and my opponent. And often it was ad-libbed as well. When you're out there and you're feeling the action and you called for 1 chair shot, but the people are going nuts, that 1 chair shot might turn into 3 or 4.
No, yeah. Again, the adrenaline gets pumping, right? Like it just keeps going. So I want to get into, and I want to talk about obviously what you're doing now with ISPW as well.
In this day and age, I go from where the chair to the gut and across the back. I will never whack a guy in the head with the chair. I won't take one to my own head. Once in a while, you'll see wrestlers do a chair throw, and that's, again, don't want to pull back the curtain too much, but that's way different than somebody holding it and bludgeoning you with a steel chair.
No, yeah, it's a fair point. Yeah, it's the the implementation of it, right? Like, and how you go about it.
It's all how. Yep.
So I know for a brief period of time, post pandemic, I guess what's 2021 considered?
I don't know. It's all 20.
Is that still considered part of the pandemic?
It's all blur.
But in 2021, you had a match on AEW Dark. What was that experience like for you? I know a lot's happened since then with them growing and things like that. What did you experience there? And what's your take on what their product has been like?
So years? I was off for 14 months and during COVID, and I was doing the promos. And if you watch the promos, I was talking a lot of smack as a character and being very critical of modern wrestling or young wrestling and stuff, and having all kinds of fun. And I was at my son's lacrosse game. Again, totally different life, doing daddy things. It was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm watching my son's lacrosse game, and I get a call to go do the Super 8 for ECWA that night. And I had not been in a ring for 14 months. And I had been in the first few Super 8s. So this was really a cool experience. It was because Ricky Morton either missed his flight or the flight got canceled or something like that. So I took the call and I said, let me think. I hung up, and I'll just be totally real. I go, wow, I have not trained for this. I would love to do it, but I don't want to go out there and look like crap. And then I don't want to be a preachy guy at all. But this is the way I think. I go, the Super 8's a cool show. It would be something cool to come back with after not wrestling for 14 months. God is putting this opportunity in front of me, and it would be a shame to squander it. So I took the opportunity and had 2 great matches. The following month, I wrestled for GCW in Atlantic City versus Ricky Shane Page, and that was awesome. That's on YouTube somewhere. It's called After Hours. Huh?
I watched that this morning.
Yeah, and that finish we did without pulling back the curtain. People ask me about it a lot. If I did it, it was safe, and you're not going to know how. The light tubes, multiple light tubes. I was power bombed through about 10 light tubes on top of a guardrail.
So what you're saying is it wasn't real glass.
No, it was. There was some science going on there. But, I did that, and I was not cut up or anything like that. And I think I amazed a lot of the guys in the back. And I know for a fact that the technique that I used to protect myself is used by quite a bit of those deathmatch guys that were there that night. And that happens. And Then we go away to Disney, and I get a text from QT Marshall saying, we're thinking about putting you on the show in September. Joey Janela would like to work with you, yada, yada, yada. So I'm in Disney a day and a half. And when you go to Disney, all bets are off. You're eating what you want. You're drinking what you want. It's magical. So that screwed up my Disney trip a bit.
That meal plan. That meal plan is intense. When we went there a couple of years back, it's like you have to get 3 snacks in within like a 2-hour period.
Yes. So I ate responsibly. I did a whole lot more cardio, and that started my quest to get ready for September. And then September rolls around, and I get to wrestle with Joey in Philly and doing a show that big. Again, after being off for 14 months and that being my third match, if you go back, I think me and Joey did a pretty good job. And that was my third match in 14 months. And I'm very proud of that. It was good. And, you know, through COVID and the promos, you're not sure what's going on. I had a great experience at ECWA. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. Match with Ricky Shane Page. I loved working him. That lit another fire under my ass a bit more, and then going to AEW and that big crowd and wrestling with Joey like that, that just made my fire even bigger. And it made me to want to continue to do it. And here I am at 53, at 50 years old and 33 years in.
Incredible.
Yeah, and Ty, like, the one thing I thought was really amazing as I was watching your ISPW matches is that I thought it was so unique. I don't see it doors being used as tables in matches. I thought that was so cool that you guys are starting to use, like, just again, like, it's kind of that whole to your path of the ECW.
I'll tell you how that popped up. The doors actually popped up. If I could be a wrestling historian, I believe, because in New York, the athletic commission passed some kind of legislation where you're not allowed to use tables. So they made this loophole where they started using doors. And as far as a promoter goes, doors are a lot cheaper than buying tables. So more and more people started using doors. How's that?
Learned something new tonight. Who didn't think that? Well, I thought that was going to happen, but I didn't think I knew about doors.
I learned so much today.
And I have to say that I uniquely try to use the guardrail unlike anyone else in this business. And so I like to use the doors. I like to use the guardrail. The guardrail more than the doors, just because everybody uses the doors. So I try my best to try to be as different as I can be.
Yeah, right. It's your trademark. So is there a match so far, and on whether it's ISPW or on the indies, that you've done the last couple of years that really stands out? I know you've wrestled with Tommy Dreamer. Talking about next week, we're gonna you're wrestling Gangrel next week.
That's gonna be so fun.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean,
there's been so many great opportunities since I came back. AEW, of course, stands out. When I did New Japan the following year, that stood out. Doing the Battle Royal, although it was an easy match to wrestle in, for Ric Flair's last match, that stands out. Just being there for that night was cool. But between ISPW and Outlaw Wrestling, I've had some really great matches against some really great people. Last year, I think it was. Is it last year? I lost track. See those damn Terry Funk chair shots. I dropped the leg off the top of a steel cage again, and that was kind of neat. Last week, I can't wait to see it once it's all edited and stuff. But last week I got to wrestle Speedball Mike Bailey. That was awesome. I would love to do that again. It's this building in Brooklyn that Outlaw runs. They pack them in there. It's standing room only. It's a crazy Brooklyn crowd. hipsters and college guys and random wrestling nuts, and they are loud and out of their mind. Great, great crowd. Very, very it's similar to the ECW crowds of old, and that pushes you to really go nuts and, safely, of course, and really makes you want to have a great match. But between ISPW and Outlaw Wrestling, I really can't thank them enough for all of the opportunities. Great guys that they've given me to wrestle. I never want to be the veteran where they say, let's bring in Crowbar. We'll have to find somebody to work with him that'll take it easy so we can get a good. That's not me at all. I like being able to perform at a modern level, or what I call a modernly acceptable level. And when I'm not unable to do that anymore, I won't do it no more. I will gracefully walk away and say, I can't do this at a quality level no more, and I'm gone. And I also want to thank Battleground out of Philadelphia, who I've wrestled 3 shows for now, who has really given me the opportunity to run with this entourage idea that I've had with the bodyguard and my wife out there, and with the music and the pageantry and all this type of stuff, which Outlaw and ISPW do allow me to do. It just looks more grandiose when you have the grand stage and the monitors and the smoke and all that. That type of entrance is made for an environment like that, so all 3 of them have given me great, great opportunities to paint on the canvas the way that I want to at this stage of my career. It's indie wrestling. It's vacation money at the most. It's not something I'm doing for the monetary value. I'm out here because I friggin' love pro wrestling. I enjoy creating. I enjoy being able to do it with a close friend of mine, Big Adam, and my wife, which is awesome. It's a great bonding experience. My kids don't think it's so, it's old hat for them, but their kids think it's real. Their friends, rather, think it's really, really cool.
I was going to ask, what is your? Because I know you have 2 kids now, and your son's getting older, right? So he's knows who dad is. So what's that?
As he's getting, I think he appreciates it more because he knows dad's 50 and he's still doing this wild stuff and doing stuff that the guys in their earlier matches that are half my age aren't doing. So I think that impresses them. But as far as mom and dad being wrestlers, both my kids, it's always been there. It's an old hat, you know what I mean? And it's fun, going around the house. Me and my wife laugh. They'll use the wrestling lingo like we do accidentally, you know what I mean? My son will want something. He goes, "Hey, Dad, give me that gimmick there." And I look at my wife. We just laugh, and it's just fun. Or "Hey, why's Mia, my daughter? Hey, why's Mia going into business for herself there?" And it's normal. But when we stop and say, "This is nuts," it's just really funny and it's cute. And but we probably are, as crazy as wrestling is, we're probably the most normal wrestling family on the planet. So
that's awesome. So we're talking with Crowbar here on the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. If you're new here, to all our friends, please hit the like button, subscribe. Go ahead.
I just want to do a side note because you're Jersey, we're all Jersey. I want to get a little controversial.
Where are you guys at?
So he's originally from North Caldwell. I'm from Woodbridge, and now we live in Bridge.
Ridge or Bridge? Ridge or Bridge?
Where's my brain?
Woodridge or Woodbridge?
Woodbridge.
Bridge. Okay.
Yeah. So he's a little north, I'm a little central south. But controversy: pork roll, Taylor ham.
I've always used Taylor ham. I would always order a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese sandwich.
See?
Same. So he's north and I was middle, and I was Taylor Ham.
But if somebody, that being said, if someone offers me pork roll, egg, and cheese, I will not turn that down.
Yeah, exactly. Right. As long as it's good.
Yeah.
Call it whatever you want.
Like, I know, we're Jersey, you're Jersey.
Yeah.
I feel like I always called it Taylor Ham, but I got
me
used
too.
to it.
I was always Taylor Ham, and then I went to school in Trenton or Princeton, and they were like, "Oh, it's pork roll." I was like, "I don't know what pork roll is."
I think that's where it changes. Like right around there is where it changes. That's a dividing line there.
Yeah,
that's like the pork roll, Taylor Ham, Mason-Dixon line there.
Basically, so I was like in both. But
I think they need to label that on maps now. You know, they have the equator, and then they have the Taylor Ham pork roll line.
Actually, they have those maps. You ever see like some random people on wherever social media site make them where it's like North Jersey, and they say this is Central Jersey.
Yes, I've seen that. Yeah,
it's a thing. It's a thing. Now that I live here.
No, in Woodbridge. They said we're Central Jersey, and I went to college in kind of Southern Jersey, and they were like, Central doesn't exist. I'm like, my last 18 years a lie?
I'm just looking at my hair here at the end of a long day of work. I look like Doc Brown. Morty! I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Listen. You can't say that to someone.
We're going to throw him on our DeLorean, and we're going to gun it to 88.
Well, as long as I get hair back in this situation, I'm okay with wherever we're heading. Before we get to it, so we have some people on the line. So I want to let someone in if you're open to it, having some of our listeners chime in.
Of course, I'm open to it.
Awesome. So
thank you.
I think I know who this is. I'm pretty sure it's a regular, but he didn't change his name, so it's welcome guest number 1. So I think it's Steven. So I'm going to say Steve. Bring him in.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Steve, it is you.
What's up, Steve?
Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Barr. I'm a fan.
Nice to meet you, too.
Thank you. My question is, I remember seeing your ECW debut where you were the surprise opponent that day, and that was quite the moment. You came out to Nine Inch Nails song.
Yes. Terrible Lie. Yes.
Terrible Lie. Yes. That was something to watch. I was a big ECW fan back in the day. I stayed up till 1 a.m. just to watch that on the MSG network.
Sure. I did too at that time. Yep.
Yeah. So my question is related to that. What would you? How much difference would you say was between the hardcore matches you had in WCW and what looked to be pretty much standard practice in ECW?
I like the ECW style a lot more. I've actually spoken about this a few times here and there. I'm a big fan of what I call the Jerry Lynn, Sabu, RVD style, where you use chairs, you use tables, but there's still wrestling going on. You see wrestling moves, you see wrestling sequences. I was never a fan of garbage wrestling where guys just whack each other with weapons. I hate that. I'm not a fan of that style at all. And when I had gotten into WCW, that was mainly what their hardcore matches was. You know, sometimes they hung the garbage cans from the posts filled with just a bunch of like pool cues and hockey sticks and random fighting memorabilia and stuff, miscellaneous stuff. And I had done matches like that there. When they put the hardcore title on me, my intent was to, and I spoke about it rather with the office about trying to transition my title run as more of an ECW-esque style hardcore wrestling where there was technical wrestling mixed with chairs and tables and an occasional weapon here or there. A few weeks into my run, I did a tag match. It was myself and Mike Awesome versus Bam Bam and Reno. And I had done an Asai moonsault. Bam Bam missed the catch. I hit the floor and I tore my abdominal muscle. And for people that don't know, it's one of the most painful injuries to get because if you lift up your knees or your hips, it hurts. To put your pants on hurts. To bend your leg to put your socks or shoes on kills. And they had just put in a hardcore title on me. It was a huge opportunity. So I did not report the injury at all because it would have taken it off me and this, that, and the other thing. So my plans to transition that hardcore style into a more ECW style got put on hold because it's actually a huge blessing in disguise because I actually had to do garbage wrestling and I was able to effectively do that style because I didn't have to do a lot of running around. It was just me lifting up objects and whacking people with them. And I was able to work through that injury by doing that, what I call it's a very unathletic and, not jumping and running around style. So that's not my favorite style. I hope that again, it's like ADD is all over the place. The WCW style was more of that simple garbage wrestling style. I wanted to change it, but thank God that's the style it was because after I got hurt, I was able to keep performing and no one was the wiser.
Oh, that's good that there was able to be some kind of transition there, before somebody, it always looked like the WCW version was, just presented more slickly.
Yeah.
Also, and the ECW was just like, I mean, you believed it in both cases, but in both instances, but ECW was just, it looked more just like a real fight.
It looked real and raw. Yep.
Real and raw. And, and not everybody could pull that off.
Yep.
Well put, Steve. Yeah, honestly, that's pretty. Yeah, like there's just the differences between the two companies, and like
I hate garbage wrestling. I hate garbage wrestling. It's I had to do it, but that I don't like that style of hardcore at all. Anybody could do that.
Called garbage wrestling before. Maybe but I agree
with
that terminology, to be honest with you. So watching, like, I remember my brother waking me up at like 2 a.m. He's like, you need to watch this. He's like, this is not Dad's wrestling. And made me watch ECW at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
This is so crazy. But like kind of watching like to protect each other and make sure like, yeah, we're going to maybe do something crazy, but like, I'm going to protect you. Very different.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot. Like, I feel like a lot of it is too, like, right, like, the difference between like the financial backing of WCW with TBS
sure.
and everything, versus like more of a grassroots, like trying to make your name for yourself, more of an
absolutely. Yep.
Right. But yeah, before we let you go here, Crowbar, I guess
we kept you so much.
I know.
Nah, guys, you're all good, man. You're all good.
This has absolutely been a blast. Where can everybody find you?
Again, I really, as far as wrestling goes, I use mainly Twitter, or now it's called X, whatever it's called, at WCW Crowbar. I have an Instagram account. I very rarely go on because I just don't have time to do both. I don't have somebody doing my social media stuff. So most of my wrestling stuff you can find on at WCW Crowbar, and that's really the best, the best place to check.
Awesome. Well, again, pleasure was ours here. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers to you.
Next week in Rutherford, April 26th at the Williams Center.
Exactly.
Me and Gangrel.
I have a couple of you have the 26th in the Rutherford, and then you're going to be at what they're calling it WrestleCon, right, in Morristown.
Yes. Yes, and that will be, right now it's scheduled to be a steel cage match between me and, pulling back the curtain, my brother from another mother, Daniel Morrison, who is formerly known as Danny Doring. I love this guy, and when we work each other, we lay it into each because it's just fun.
He's a Jersey guy too, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yep.
Yes,
Around the like Edison.
Battle of New Jersey.
Yes.
Well, Crowbar, listen, as now the first official guest of the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour, you have to.
I love it.
You have to win. There's a lot of winners on you now.
And I was here with coffee now. Not exactly the happy hour, but my happy hour will start when I go home.
Well, cheers to that. Best of luck, and again, pleasure as always.
Cheers.
Thank you guys. A lot of fun. Great talking to you guys.
Thank you.
Cheers, ladies and gentlemen. Crowbar.
Fucking Crowbar.
Who'd have thunk it? When we did this show 8 weeks, I don't know what show we're on now.
We started 2 weeks before Royal Rumble. And honestly, I pulled back our own curtain. Again, fucking Crowbar versus Gangrel. Like, what? Go see it. Go watch it. Be a part of it. That's banana.
April 26th. If you're in New Jersey, around the Williams Center in Rutherford, New Jersey, which, not to pull back, but our Jersey boy Crowbar lives somewhere around there.
Jersey. But that was kind of like the impetus of this podcast. Like, not that we were so, what's your New Year's resolution? But it was kind of like our resolution was like, we want to be more productive in our lives and we want to do things that make us happy. Mm-hmm. And this is the impetus of this podcast. We have Crowbar and like talk about his work in ECW, WWE, his little match in AEW with Joey Janela.
Obviously,
Jersey guy. Like, I could have talked with him about Star Wars for like 4 hours by Nick.
I couldn't have. I could not have.
I'm just like, oh, it was so fun.
I like Star Wars, not that much. I like Crowbar. I could talk to Crowbar for like a few hours, but not about Star Wars. I mean, after like 10 minutes of Star Wars, it's because I don't like Star Wars that much, not because I don't like her.
I fucking Steven, again, I'm big cursing a lot. We had a couple cocktails. Saying like that was awesome, nice. Like, I cannot say enough. Like, we were burned a couple weeks ago, but like he came in, was fucking a fun sweetheart, answered everyone's questions, like trying to keep the kayfabe, but not the kayfabe. Like,
well, no, we're having fun here, so that's our goal on the Nick Club Happy Hour. Just to let you know. So we're gonna throw out the phone lines. If anyone still wants to talk, the phone lines are open.
You would just
but like we're gonna do a lot more of that. This is the first of what we hope is many. Don't get too accustomed to it, but we're gonna have more of our guests. Again, if you want to see Crowbar, April 26th, he is wrestling Gangrel.
Yes, please.
In Rutherford, New Jersey.
He's born.
If April 26th does not work for you, and you want to make a trip to New Jersey, if you're in New Jersey, May 4th, the following weekend, right? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Saturday, May 4th, he will be in Morristown, New Jersey. So make sure that if you're not following him, please follow him. He's got a lot of great content actually on his Twitter. So make sure you follow him and do all that fun stuff. So it's been a very interesting Nick Club Happy Hour. We're expecting.
Oh, it's been a day. I'm excited. I'm happy for it. He could not be the sweetest man.
I know. You got your wrestling and your Star Wars in. I don't know.
We talked about his wife. We talked Star Wars. Like, I could have talked to him for 6 more hours.
I know. You could talk to everybody.
No, literally.
Everybody about wrestling and Star Wars.
I'm the person that doesn't want to talk to people. You're the talker of this bunch.
But we love talking wrestling.
And wrestling and Star Wars. I'm like, girl, I'm here for this for you.
All right. On that note, so we'll keep it. I know. We're 20. Wait, 20. Math is hard. 35 minutes out.
I need
SmackDown.
10 minutes out because I have to take Jackson out. So
okay. Well, we are
35
minutes out.
He's got the whole chat is just Steven. Steven, I love you. You know this.
I know. We need more than Steven rambling about Taylor Hand. So if
That
you're one of the people that is in this chat now, we have a bunch of live people. If you haven't subscribed yet, Crowbar's coming after you to subscribe.
Also,
and if you haven't hit the like, Crowbar is coming after you as well. And I am as well.
A very New Jersey centric podcast. So I'm sorry for listeners that are not in New Jersey.
But yes. No, I think it applies to everybody. We need to have like a universal country debate about like
sandwiches. Everyone should have a good breakfast sandwich. But I digress. What do you got? Call me. Tell me about your breakfast sandwich.
You're gonna upset people on the internet.
No,
on the interwebs.
I say people all the time. Tell me about your breakfast sandwiches. Tell me about Rhea Ripley, Chad Gable looking like Perk Angle. I'm here for it. Talk to me. We got Dynasty next week. My children are fighting in the corner.
Yeah, real quick before we open up the phone lines. Real quick, as we give this another 5-10 minutes, if anyone wants to chime in with their wrestling theories of the week, thoughts of the week, whatever you want to talk about, feel free to call in. You can throw it in the comments if you want to just have it read off and you don't want to call in. We'll do it all. But we do actually have a pay-per-view coming up. AEW Dynasty is on Sunday.
My Eddie fucking Kingston shirt. Ed, for you!
So, whatever.
Justice for Eddie.
He had 3 belts.
He needs more. He needs belts that mean shit.
He had 3.
All right, you have 3 poop belts.
But
I digress.
Anything that you're looking forward to this weekend in particular?
Ospreay Danielson. I don't think that is a question. If I feel like people are crapping on the Usos match, like if that match isn't a fucking banger, again, not comparing the Usos to the two of them, but it's like, and also it's what we thought about AJ Nakamura. Like there's so much pressure on this match, and I'm worried that it, like one thing out of miss, they're like, fuck this match. But Brian Ospreay. We're gonna need to change our underwear, kids.
No, that'd be a good match. It'll be a really good match. Again, I don't even think I need to say on the show how much I like Will Ospreay. Because if you're one of our live listeners, you know exactly. And if you're new to this show, I love Will Ospreay. I think he's the best wrestler probably in the world right now.
Ospreay.
Well, one of the top. I wouldn't say anywhere, right? One of the. Okay, say that. I'm gonna mute you. I can't throw her out.
He can do a promo over that.
But regardless, I love Will Ospreay. I think that's gonna be a phenomenal match. I'm looking forward to it. I just hope it's not at 11:45 on Sunday night when I'm about to go to sleep.
Oh, I have to go.
When I'm probably, let's be honest, like I sleep early, but so probably like an hour. but like, don't kill me. Don't kill me with a long pay-per-view, Tony Khan. Please don't.
I said it last podcast. I was like, I miss them being that too. Like WWE and AEW flip-flopped. Like they were doing this cute, quick 2:45, let's go home pay-per-views. And now WWE's doing that with their B pay-per-views. And then like fucking Tony Khan wants to do an 8-hour extravaganza. And I have to go in the office on Monday. I have to go to prison on Monday. Like, I'm not trying to... Like, give me an 8 to 11. Mom is good.
No, that's fair. Yeah, exactly.
But like, I think that's...
I hope. I don't think he has as many people to... I mean, well, he signs everybody, so maybe he does. Yeah. But, like, to get in on the card, that maybe he'll, like, shorten it a little bit. But... we'll see. I'm excited. Just if you give it to me at 10 o'clock, okay. But if you give it to me at anything after 11, I'm going to be really effing pissed. So, because I want to watch it. I want to enjoy it with energy, and like that was the thing that angered me about the Stone Cold last year, 2 years ago, whatever it was, with Kevin Owens. Like, I was so tired, and like I still had some energy because it's still Stone Cold, and like I was running on E, but like it felt like it happened so late in the night Stone Cold Kevin Owens, night one of WrestleMania was like, I felt like.
Well, were you watching? Were we in the house or you were?
We were in the house. I was here. What do you mean?
Oh, well then I was like, I remember everything about that match.
No, not that I don't remember it. I just remember being tired. Like I remember the match, like them battling all around the arena, but I was just so tired. That's I guess the point I'm getting at is just like I don't want the Danielson Ospreay match to be so late in the night that there's no energy for the crowd or me or anybody else. And that was what I felt like with Stone Cold is like I had energy. I was at like a 7, but I should have been at a 9. And don't do that to me. Just give me a shorter. If something has to run short, actually, if FTR, well, let's be honest, FTR is facing Young Bucks. I'm calling it right now.
No,
I'm calling Jack Perry. I'm calling Jack Perry showing up.
So is every mom. No, the thing is that's good. Fuck. Everything else is gonna get fucked. Like also, like you don't need Hook Jericho on this card. They have their fun little thing. Like Jericho pushed Taz. It's a thing. That's not to me not a pay-per-view.
Did they just put that on like this week?
Yeah, it was on Dynasty. Not Dynasty. Dynamite.
Dynamite Dynasty.
Like I don't.
Well, honestly.
And then Pac Okada should be, and like we're bitching about these matches that should be so fucking good, and their storylines are. I think that's a criticism so much of AEW. It's like your build-ups are dog shit, and then you get to the pay-per-view, and if you can have the stamina to last 7 hours, they're fantastic. Like obviously FTR Bucks. Yeah. They're collaborating, unifying its guns up. I'm too white for this. It's a Jay White and
the unifying the trios titles.
Yeah. So
good. So there's going to only be one triple tag team.
Unifying this belt. Does that need to be on pay-per-view? I don't think so.
Is this the first step of them unifying every Ring of Honor?
Again, is like Tony just fucking Ring of Honor?
I don't know. Well, we'll see. There's a lot to talk about, but Swerve's challenging Samoa Joe. So, quick picks before we go. We open up the phone lines for a little bit, but if no one else wants to chime in, we will end and give everyone some time to take a bathroom break, refresh their drinks.
We are over.
Maybe get a snack and get ready for SmackDown at 8 p.m. Eastern time, whatever time you're on. But yeah, so quick picks. I'll just do the 3 that I know. Ospreay Danielson.
Ospreay.
Actually.
Ospreay.
I'm going to go Danielson.
Ospreay.
Danielson. So I'm going to say Danielson. This is not counting in our picks, though, for our normal yearly picks. Not official picks. Because we have to do a graphic on that. But Ospreay Danielson, Swerve, Joe. I'm going Swerve.
I think I'm going to go Joe. I think he's going to win it at the bigger one. I think he's going to win it Double or Nothing. I think there'd be some sort of shenanigans or something happens or like Hangman comes back. I think he needs to, like, Double or Nothing is basically their Mania. He's going to win it on a bigger pay-per-view. And also, when is Twisted Metal got renewed for the 2nd season? So when does Joe have to go? And that obviously will correlate when he's dropping the belt.
Twisted Metal's awesome. Great show. If you haven't watched it, if you were someone that's close to our age in their 30s, pull back the curtain, and you played the game for PlayStation, this show, the Twisted Metal show, absolutely loved. Like 5 stars. Like I'm not like for the few. I only have a handful of video games that I played as a kid and I stuck with, but the ones that I played, I loved. And this is one where, like, because I played like Assassin's Creed and they were adapted into movies. This is one where adapted into a show. Phenomenal job. So if you haven't watched Twisted Metal yet, great show on Peacock.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah, not a sponsor yet. Until Peacock sponsors us. Or one of our alcohol sponsors or whoever. We're open to all oncomers for the most part.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's been a fun night. It's been a very
roller coaster of a night, baby.
I know. We weren't sure where we'd end up. We started talking about Rhea Ripley's injury, Chad Gable turning heel, who's in the bloodline, who's not in the bloodline. And then we get a call in. Crowbar joined the show from WCW, ECW, ISPW. A lot of W's. And everything ends in W, but I know it's just funny.
I'm so shocked your acronym has a W in it.
But phenomenal show. We heard a lot about what he's been up to, what's been going on. So the first of many. This has been a newer, different version of the show, but we hope to continue it, and we hope you guys all enjoyed it. So again, if you're new here, for all of our new people, hit the like and subscribe buttons. We want to have you back. We are here every Friday, 6 p.m. So if you want to talk wrestling, grab a drink, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, whatever. Crowbar had coffee. You like coffee? Drink coffee. You like soda? Drink soda. Steven, our regular, drink soda. If you like water, drink water. Doesn't matter. What matters is that we all like wrestling. So come on in. Share your thoughts. It could be today's wrestling. It could be old school wrestling. Today we talked about old school wrestling versus today wrestling. It's a bunch of different topics. So we love having you. So until next time. So we'll see you next Friday at 6. But until next time, you don't have to go home.
But you can't stay here. Bye.